Hi, I'm Mish. I'm going to be your human for today. I also have Natalie and Sydney helping me out. So, today, we are not the only ones at Schmeeckle, so there are a lot of visitors here today, so we might have to step to one side of the trail as we are out on our walk today. And of course, be kind to all the other visitors. They also deserve to admire Schmeeckle. If you needed it all today, we do have outdoor bathrooms right out at the Century Little Plaza. We also do have indoor bathrooms and an awesome gift shop if you want to hit that up as well. There's also drinking fountains inside if you need to fill up your water bottle. So today, we are going to be looking at frogs that create a symphony of calls here at Schmeeckle, along with the unique characteristics that we can use to identify them, and how they indicate change in our environment. So I hope you came with your frog hats on today, because we are about to get really froggy up in here. So to start, we are going to be out on a little walk. It's going to be roughly 45 minutes. We will end back in here. So if there is like stuff you want to leave, you can. There are a lot of visitors, so it might walk away with you. But otherwise, are we ready to get going? Awesome. All right, so if y'all want to follow me, we're going to head out this direction. So I have brought you to our beautiful little theater because, like all good symphonies, you need to have a stage to perform on. For our froggy friends, these stages are often wetlands. All frogs at some point in their life do go to the water, and we will get a chance to go there as well. But while we're here, we want to be able to hear the symphony as we approach them, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll be able to hear some today. It has been a little cold for frogs to come out, but now that it's warming up, I have high hopes. So we're going to get to learn and practice how to call to these frogs and how to hear which frog is making what sound. So, here at Schmeeckle, we have about 8 frog species that habit the reserve. So those are the 8 that we're going to be focusing on today, but there are 12 native frog species in Wisconsin. So if you go outside of central Wisconsin, you might hear some frogs that you are not familiar with. I encourage you to try to learn who they are when you find them. But if you are in Stevens Point, you're probably going to hear these 8 particular frogs. So we're going to start off with the American bullfrog. Natalie's going to walk around and show y'all some pictures so that way you know what frog you're hearing here. So if you heard that deep, kind of mooing sound, that was the American bullfrog. Some people describe bullfrog's call as being juggarum. I think it sounds more like a brum type of a noise. So if y'all want to practice with me, we're going to try to be the best American bullfrogs we have ever been. I personally do the brum method, but feel free to play with your frog call sound. Do we want to hear the bullfrog one more time? All right. All right. Do you think we're ready? All right. Here we go. Let's make this symphony of bullfrogs. Okay. Brum, 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 brum. Ooh, I think we're getting the hang of it. I should say we are quite the chorus of bullfrogs. The next frog that we are going to look at is the American toad. Now, a toad is in fact a frog. They have the exact same life cycle, and they are categorized in that species. They're just kind of like slightly different in appearance and how they behave. which is why they kind of got the title of toad, and why we kind of separate them in our vocabulary. So our American toad has a high trill that lasts for about 30 seconds. A lot of people will mistake this frog call as a bird. So Sydney, could we hear an American toad? Whew, that's a long one. Do you think you can manage that one? I believe in you. Do you want to hear it one more time before we practice ourselves? Okay, I'm hearing that we're pretty ready. All right, so on the count of 3, let's hear those American toads. 1, 2, 3. Woo! I don't think I can go for 30 seconds. I gotta work on my lung capacity for that one. But y'all sounded like amazing American toads. This one's a really fun one to listen for in your backyard. Okay, so our next frog is one of my favorites. I'm a very partial person to tree frogs. I think they're some of the coolest frogs that we have in Wisconsin. And the first one we're going to look at is the Cope's gray tree frog. This tree frog has another trill that lasts for 30 seconds, but this one sounds like it's going wah for an entire 30 seconds. It's pretty cool. Sydney, let's hear that tree frog. I love this frog so much. I think it just brings me so much joy. All right, do we want to hear that again, or you think you got your wah down? All right, are we ready to try it? All right, here we go. Wah! Wow. Ooh, I like that. That was a nice one. Oh, beautiful wahs. 10 out of 10. All right, are you ready for another tree frog?
Yeah.
All right, this tree frog is the gray tree frog. The gray tree frog has a sort of croaky trill. This one does not go on as long as the others. This one, 10 out of 10, most people think is a bird. It has a very bird-like call. So let's hear this frog. This one's a little trickier. Let's hear it one more time. Okay, I think I've got an idea in my brain. Are we ready to try out the gray tree frog? All right, here we go. Wow, y'all definitely did better than I did. I think mine went back to like a tree, like the Cope's gray tree frog, but y'all sounded better than I did. Awesome. So our next frog is the green frog. The green frog has a glunk kind of a call. So let's hear our green frog. I like this one. This one kind of reminds me of like if you've ever like taken a tissue box or another like piece of cardboard and you taped a like rubber band to it and you pull that, that's what that reminds me of. I don't know if I can make that sound. Sydney, could you play it again for us? All right, I think I've got it. How about you? Yeah? All right, here we go. Beautiful. I liked it. All right, so our next one. This is a pretty cool frog. This is our northern leopard frog. They are actually starting to come out of their winter stages. So these frogs are probably going to start coming out in the water as the water thaws and turns back into liquid. So our leopard frog has a loud, broken snore. So if you snore like I do, we probably have a little bit of an advantage to this one. Let's hear this snoring frog. It kind of sounds like a door that's just like not stopping the creaking. All right. How are we feeling with this one? Do we need to hear the snores again? Or we think we're masters of this already? All right. Are we ready to snore? All right, here we go. Beautiful snoring, 10 out of 10. Hopefully you don't have to wake up other humans in your house with your snores, but maybe you can hang out with a leopard frog and you can snore together. All right, our next frog is the prized spring frog because it is the spring peeper. These frogs kind of dominate the Schmeeckle Symphony when they start to play. They are probably the easiest to replicate. They just go peep. All right, Sydney, let's hear some peepers. This is one of the most magical springtime sounds. All right, are we ready to do some peepers? I believe in you. Here we go. Peep, 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 beautiful. I simply love spring peepers. All right, our last frog is the wood frog. The wood frog has a hoarse but subtle quacking call. Let's hear this wood frog. I kind of think this sounds like the most classic kind of a ribbit. Let's play that one more time. All right, are we ready to be wood frogs? Here we go. Wobbit, 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 wobbit. Beautiful. I heard so many good wood frogs just now. All right, so do you think you are ready to become a member of the Schmeeckle Symphony?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Based on what I heard, you sure are. So that means that we are now ready to go visit the frogs' habitat area where they do all of this beautiful calling. We did ours by this beautiful stage. Their stage is the water. So we have to go to the wetland area in order to see where these frogs perform. As we walk there, try to see if we can hear any frogs. I hope that some are out, but let's keep our ears out to see if we can hear some of the first frogs in the Schmeeckle Symphony this spring. Are you ready for that, task? All right, we're gonna head on over this way. All right, so did you hear any frogs? You did? Oh my goodness, that's so awesome. I was gonna say, I think I heard some more birds than I did frogs. But that's okay, they still have to warm up a little bit. They can't regulate their body temperatures like we can. They have to use their environment in order to do so. They need to bath. Sometimes I need that too. All right, so we just entered in to the Schmeeckle wetland area, which means that this is the perfect place for us to start using our eyes to find frogs. All of the frogs have unique identifiable features that help us be able to identify them. So, are you ready to become master frog identifiers? Heck yeah. All right, so we are going to pass out some frog identification cards. You get to take these home with you today. Welcome to the pond. So the pond is where the frogs come to reproduce. This is where they lay their eggs. All of our frogs have a really cool life cycle because they start in the water and they end up on land, which lets us be able to study them, to be able to know if there's something wrong with the water or the land, because if frogs are getting affected, that means that somewhere in their habitat is an area that we need to focus on. So, frogs start out as eggs in the water, and then they move on to hatch out as tadpoles, which kind of just look like wiggly little buggers in the water. And then eventually, they start to grow little back legs.
Evelyn, no, honey.
As they continue to develop,
Evelyn,
they will get bigger back legs and little front legs. And then when they get even bigger, they look like a frog, but with a tail. And then once it is ready to leave the water for good, it loses its tail completely. Not all frogs will remain by the water. Some frogs, like the wood frog and the spring peepers, tend to go into the forest a lot, because that's where they feel most comfortable and where the wood frog actually overwinters. A lot of the other frogs will stick around the water and overwinter there. The leopard frog, which is one that should be emerging pretty soon here, the leopard frog stays under the water all winter, but if it gets warm enough, it will actually start to swim under the water while there's ice on top. Which is why it's usually one of the first ones that we start seeing once the ice comes off the water. So, we have some frog life cycle cards. I have 5 sets, so I'm going to have you assemble a team, and you are going to be able to create your own frog life cycle just right here on the trail. Are you up to that task? If you need help along the way, just raise your hand and I will pop on over. How are your frog life cycles?
Holding it for a while.
I saw everyone managed to get it completed. That's awesome. All right. So, since our frogs start out in the water, if there's a pollutant in the water, it ends up affecting them. So, a pollutant could be a pesticide that washed off of your lawn, or it could be a lot of trash in the water, or chemicals that washed off of the road, with all that salt that we put down in the winter. All these things end up in the water. And as that happens, it can affect the creatures that have their life cycles starting in the water. It might result in a frog developing 2 heads or multiple legs. I think there's a really good documentary on PBS. I remember watching it when I was younger, but I don't remember what it's called, and I haven't been able to find it since. If you can find it, let me know. And it was a really good one about studying frogs and the pollutants that affected them. And there was like one body of water that they were just pulling frogs with like 6 legs out of it. And they did this whole study in order to find where those were coming from. But they would not have known anything was wrong with the water until they started finding frogs with multiple legs. So they're a really good indicator for water health. If you have a body of water with no frogs, that's really abnormal, especially for this part of Wisconsin. So if you have no frogs in your body of water, it could tell you something about your water and that it's not habitable for frogs. The same goes for the land. If you don't see like wood frogs that inhabit the wood area where they have always been, maybe we've destroyed their habitat and we took out the logs that they hide under, or there's no leaf litter for them to crawl under. So keep those in mind as we walk back to the pavilion. We're gonna do our wrap up there. As we're walking, I would like you to brainstorm ways that you can help frogs be healthy in their habitats. So these could be things like not mowing your lawn in May, not only for the insects that use them, but maybe for frogs that are traveling to the water to reproduce. Or maybe you spray dandelions in your yard, maybe not spraying them so those chemicals don't end up in the water. So as we're walking, brainstorm some more ideas of what you can do to help a frog's habitat. All right, we're gonna head back the way we came. So as we walk back, did you brainstorm any other ideas that you would like to share about ways that you could be helping frogs?
Story of the house my wife was raised in. Her father put all the chemicals on the lawn, a beautiful green lawn. They got a pond in the backyard, and there weren't hardly any frogs. And in the last 20 years, since he passed away and we purchased the place, no chemicals, period. And it is low frogs.
That's
So,
an awesome comeback story.
Yeah,
That's amazing. So anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Yeah, Alex.
I think like leaving the leaves in the fall, just so there's a nice place for species like wood frogs to hunker down.
Yeah, definitely like leaving like those natural elements. I know a lot of cities, at least the city that I grew up in, they're like city workers tend to be very nitpicky on how you keep your land and lawn. So like my family, we always left leaf litter down for all of the critters that needed it. Same with like our lawn clippings, we would just leave it in the lawn. Sometimes we would leave little brush piles over winter because we had a campfire. So we would just burn it throughout the season. But the city really hated that we did all these things, and they often like to write you up for those things. So one thing that I like to think about when helping frogs is just educating other people about the benefits of what you're doing. This is why I think Schmeeckle Reserve is like such a cool place for this, because they do provide this sanctuary. You can also, I forget how to do it, but like make certain areas of your lawn like a wildlife area, so then the city can't come and attack you about it. But having a natural spot in your yard for frogs to go to can sometimes make or break the frog's ability to reproduce and continue existing in the area. Some people like to make little mini ponds in their backyard. They just take a bucket, put it in there, get a little aerator, and it's a little watering hole for all the creatures and for visiting frogs. Yeah, these are all great things you could be doing. If it rains really hard, consider not driving. A lot of frogs, when it rains, especially in the spring and summer, take that opportunity to travel from location to location. So taking that time and not driving during those conditions can help save a lot of frog lives as well. Awesome. So that does bring me to the end of our program. Thank you all for coming and joining me. If you are interested in learning more, I did give you those little educational cards so you can continue your frog identifying journeys. We also have educational materials inside the Schmeeckle Reserve Visitor Center. We also have a residential bullfrog that we have there that we've kind of rescued out of the environment. I'm not sure the origins of our collection of this bullfrog. I also can't remember how to say her name. Hildy. I always want to say Hilda, but it's Hilly. She has a brand new tank. She's thriving. So if you want to see a bullfrog up close, that's a great opportunity to work on your identifying skills for a bullfrog. But we also have a lot of amphibian identification books in the bookstore, along with some really cool frog merch. There's this shirt I've been eyeing up. I will be purchasing it. But those funds from our visitor center does go to keeping us a reserve for all of these creatures. The wetlands are a very vital part of their habitat and ecosystem, and Schmeeckle has been able to keep those safe and out from construction. So if you're interested in contributing to that, we would absolutely appreciate it, but it is not a requirement. If you want to get involved outside of Schmeeckle, there is the Wisconsin Frog and Toad Survey. It is run through the Wisconsin DNR, and they are always looking for citizen science volunteers. Essentially, you just go around your area and you count the frogs that you see. So the identification skills you learned today would come in handy for this. And it helps them keep track of what species they have where and areas of concern. So this is areas that you might be noticing a decline in frogs. You can help document those by becoming a volunteer. They have a really cool website. It does look old school because they have not updated it in a minute, but they also have further educational materials if you're interested in learning more frog calls and identifying features. So I have this QR code. I'll have it up here if you want to scan it. Otherwise, if you just Google Wisconsin Frog and Toad Survey, it should be one of the first results that pop up. Awesome. So thank you for coming out today. I hope to see you back at Schmeeckle, listening to our chorus when they fully wake up. Hopefully in a week or two, they will be full fling. So I really encourage you to come back and hear them. It is a magical performance. Awesome. Thank you for coming out.